Thousands and thousands and thousands of people are in the streets tonight, pretty spontaneously and organically protesting the election of Donald Trump. So few people expected the election of Donald Trump. I can't say there's any evidence that large-scale protests were planned in advance. But now that he's been elected, this is what has organically sprung up all over the country. We are seeing protests at this hour in Seattle, in Portland, Oregon, in Chicago, in Boston, in Philadelphia, in Tempe, Arizona, interestingly. There have been considerable protests today in Nashville, Tennessee, in San Jose, California. Most of the protests today and into tonight have been peaceful.
Yada had been sort of popular throughout California as many people were taking their frustrations out on these Trump pinatas, and they set it on fire. And now you can hear people chanting behind me, singing, all we're saying is give peace a chance. Many Californians, Don, that did not vote for Donald Trump sort of feel that this was not their choice, and now they're stuck with it. And a whole lot of people at this protest, many Latino, are saying they now fear that relatives could be deported. Here's Lily. Lily, your sign tonight says,
our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. If we don't fight, who's going to fight for us? People had to die for the freedom where we're at today. We can't just do rallies. We have to fight back. There will be casualties on both sides. There will be, because people have to die to make a change in this world. But Trump, enough with your racism. Stop splitting families. Don't split my family.
And you're fearful that you're going to lose friends and relatives to deport?
A lot. Friends, family, even all races. Not just my Hispanic culture, but the rest of the races. Don't take away our rights. You know, impeach Donald Trump. That's what he needs to get, is impeached.
All right, Paul.
Fuck Donald Trump! Fuck Donald Trump! Fuck Donald Trump!
Protesters incited by media are protesting very unfair. Look, I mean, I wouldn't expect Donald Trump to be happy with these protests, but I think that on either side, had Hillary Clinton won, we would have seen demonstrations and they would have been understandable. You're seeing these demonstrations that are understandable. I don't think there's any evidence they're caused by professional protesters, given the fact that they sprouted up across the country. And I don't see there's any evidence that they're incited by the media. I feel like the media the last 2 days has actually been overwhelmingly laudatory of how everyone is calling for a peaceful transition. But what's your opinion on this?
Well, my opinion is, you know, the right thing to do when trying to handle conflict and tension is to be able to explain your opponent's position and views in a way that they would recognize. And if you speak with these protesters, they will tell you that they aren't out here because of the media. They will tell you that they are out here protesting policies and ideas that Donald Trump put forward, just like Donald Trump supporters would have been protesting policies that Hillary Clinton's people put forward. And the reality is, when Donald Trump supporters have gone on to say that they would have protested the outcome, Mr. Trump, President-elect Trump, did not rebuke them. This is a very partisan response to what is happening from many segments of the American population.
And Donald Trump has an uphill battle here in a divided nation, trying to unite everybody. But you're hearing people who are protesting, people who didn't vote for Donald Trump, saying he is not my president. So he is starting from.
Right here. Stand by.
If y'all want to shut him down, we can shut him down. If you don't want him up here, shut him down. Y'all don't want him up here, make him leave. Goodbye. Shut your camera down and leave. You can roll out. Shut your camera and leave. You can roll out. You can roll out. Roll out. We ain't touching you. We ain't doing nothing. You ain't got to be up here. Bye.
Hey, you guys, can you guys hear me okay?
Can you hear him? You need to leave. You're not wanted up here. You're not welcome here. Don't touch me. Don't
get out of here.
Don't get out of what? You don't belong up here. This ain't your TV station. Push your hand on him again. Right.
Hey, Kai,
Hey, Kai, what?
can you guys hear me?
Can you hear me? Hey, Kai, get the fuck out of here.
Dude, you are disturbing. You are disturbing the situation here.
Get off, man.
You are disturbing the situation.
We got this.
Well, get him away then.
What you trying to do right now?
We're live right now. Can't even do my job for this idiot.
Who an idiot?
You are an idiot.
Who an idiot?
Shorty, get out the way, man.
Get out what? I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. You ain't welcome up here. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere.
House nigga, you work for the white man, okay?
You don't even know me, man.
You work paycheck to paycheck for about
You don't know me. You don't know me.
That did Tawana Jones.
Are we live or what?
Coming to the station. Goodbye.
I can't hear you.
Goodbye. Hey!
George, this was one of the most violent scenes I have ever witnessed at a Trump rally. At times, it seemed like the police had no control of the situation. People were getting beat up right in front of them. And these were not clashes. These were pure attacks. Trump supporters, men, women, even the elderly, left this building last night and walked right into danger. Overnight, all-out brawls outside the Trump rally in San Jose, California. Trump supporters harassed, beaten, and bloodied by mobs of protesters.
They were like spitting on me and stuff.
This man says he was sucker punched, his clothes torn off his back.
Like 7 more people just come in, start punching me. I look pretty bad.
This lone female Trump supporter tried to stand her ground. Her sign torn from her hands, her glasses ripped off, then shoved in her face. A woman wearing a Trump jersey cornered and then egged in the face.
Nazis go home!
Fights breaking out in the streets all over the convention. Inside, Trump spoke to a large and welcoming crowd.
We're going to build that wall, don't even think about it.
But outside, protesters accused Trump of being a racist and hunted down the people that support him.
Another fistfight's about to break out right now. The Trump supporter is getting pummeled right now.
That man eventually fighting his way back to police. At another point, protesters followed this couple, violently harassing them, then storming the parking lot where they tried to escape. Protesters shaking cars and smashing taillights. Drivers forced to hit the gas to get out.
That often will break off, as they did tonight, and they'll engage in criminal activity. Having said that, the earlier portion of our rally protest march was very peaceful until later in the evening when it took a different turn. The officers, some have been treated and released. Another one is still currently at the hospital. But again, we are here to have conversations, listen, and have our community share and engage in constructive conversations without it being violent. And I think that is something that across our country we are all asking for, is a way to communicate, listen, be heard, and have dynamic conversations without bringing the element of criminal activity in.
And it's not just here in Los Angeles. We've seen protests all across the West. We've seen them in Denver. We've seen them in Salt Lake City. We've seen them in Oakland. And we've also seen a large one in Portland. That's where people are saying the epicenter of these protests is emanating from. They say that there is a small group of anarchists that's mixing in with those protesters. And those anarchists are causing a pretty substantial amount of damage. Last night, there were dozens of cars that were destroyed as people went through with cinder blocks and destroyed those cars at one car dealership. We also understand that there was an arrest made in Portland of somebody that had Molotov cocktails, and then down in Oakland there was some type of confrontation between a police officer and a protester. Both of them ended up in the hospital, but all across the country, police once again preparing for another night. They say the weather is going to be great tonight. They say that this is going to be a weekend in which it's a holiday weekend, so people are going to be out. And these are somewhat spontaneous protests that start with about 40, 50 people, and they end up growing because people will see what's going on social media, come down to the streets, and those crowds begin to grow. So that's just what we've seen here in Los Angeles, and it's probably going to continue through the weekend.
Migration is a human right.
Migration is beautiful.
Migration is beautiful. Migration is a human right.
Trump's a Nazi. How many Jews has Trump killed?
Huh?
How many Jews has Trump killed?
Oh, please.
How many Polish gypsies?
Oh, please.
You stupid cunt!
Shout out ass bitch, shut the fuck up. You know what's good for your health, homie? Fuck Trump, free all the homies, fuck them all.
Free El Chapo!
Fuck the police, que viva Mexico, que viva Italia, fuck them.
Fuck Donald Trump! Fuck Donald Trump! Fuck Donald Trump! Fuck Donald Trump! Fuck Donald Trump!
But her mind these days is on Donald Trump.
I didn't go to class on Wednesday. I was still in denial and in shock. I had a meltdown.
I will call up Carrie, the president. I guess I have to do it myself. I know it's not.
Kick his ass, Donald! Don't get him! Don't get him! Motherfucker! Thank you, Portland!
Listen.
You like scaring innocent people? No, I'm just fucking asking you. You like hurting innocent people, dude? You like kicking families out of the country?
Be
Never
peaceful.
did shit to you?
Be peaceful. Please just explain one policy.
You fucking scared, dude?
One policy.
Not gonna do shit. You fucking don't lie. You're surrounded.
One policy. Go. We need to go. One policy. Go.
Fuck your shit.
If you fear for your life, you can go through people.
Just explain one policy! Explain one fucking policy! You can't name one of his policies that you this is not gonna work!
Watch the fuck out!
Hey!
Watch the fuck out!
Leave him!
Hey, just get out of here. Go. Just get out. Get out of here, man. You just fucking push him, dude. Just go.
They're trying to give their own message to a campaign audience. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That's something presidents have to do. So in that way, it's not a terrible thing that presidential candidates have to do, although it is, I think, complicating for campaigns.
Susan, I'm listening to you, and stay with me. Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for the USA Today. We're all watching this together. I'm no expert here, but something's going on the side of the road as we're watching this Trump motorcade. There he is. Donald Trump in the middle of that. Looks like a pink tie, red tie in the middle of this, surrounded by Secret Service, different men, bodyguards. We saw the motorcade, pulled a U-turn on the side of the road. There's California Highway Patrol on foot, making their way. Wow. I have never seen anything like this before. I don't know how close they are. Let's just obviously stairs. I don't know if they're waiting for some kind of confrontation or not. Exercising their First Amendment rights there outside of this hotel. Again, this is the Bay Area, Burlingame, California, watching and waiting. Jeremy Diamond, I know you can't see what we just saw, but my goodness, Donald Trump and company hopping out of their big SUVs and walking in the back door of that hotel. How about that?
Now we're at it. Great. Go.
Out of here if you don't.
He's already president. You're not going to change it.
I'm not trying to change it.
You're not going to change it.
I know I'm not. He's the fucking president. Like, no shit. Fucking dumbass.
So what are you trying to do?
Oh,
What are you trying to do?
We're protesting the fact that he got fucking elected.
Okay. All right.
Like, no shit.
All right. No shit, dude. He's so elegant. So eloquent.
It's always a cuss word followed by racist, xenophobe, homophobic, blah, 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 transphobic, all this crap.
Biggs, I didn't realize you were in a relationship with only white people.
Yeah, I'm apparently a racist. I'll have to tell my Guyanese fiance who's pregnant right now that I apparently hate her because she's brown. I'm going to have to let her know that. She didn't know that. That's why she's marrying me.
Hey,